Why is the Earth's rotation axis tilted? The Earth's axial tilt at 23.4 degrees in direction of the rotation axis executes a slow precession with a period of 26,000 years. It has been explained by the gravitational force from the Sun, the Moon, and other planets. However, the precession of Earth's axial tilt is perpendicular to the equatorial plane of the Sun. If the gravitational center of the Earth is shifted toward the Sun, the axis of precession will direct to the Sun. The Earth does not have effects to change the precession. The precession of the Earth has no fulcrum. The rotational state of precession is maintained stably by a gyroscopic effect of a rotating object, that is, the angular momentum is a constant in torque-free precession. The impact of a large collision, such as the giant impact, is too great to explain the precession of the actual Earth's rotation axis and the inclination of the Moon's orbit of 5.14 degrees. Therefore, we proposed a novel explanation that the Earth's rotation axis began to precession due to the gentle contact of the Moon shown in Fig.1 and Fig.2. Precession of Earth's rotation axis occurred by gentle touch of the Moon to the Earth. The theory that Moon and Earth were formed by the giant impact is questionable. Planets do not merge by the collision. When planet collides, it will be destroyed and scattered. It is difficult to maintain a circular orbit. We propose the novel explanation that the precession of Earth is caused by gentle touch of the Moon to the Earth. That results in the orbit of the Moon tilted slightly, and the Earth's rotation axis began a precession. The proposing model of gentle touch accompanies with following items. 1. Chemical bond is 10 to the 36th power times stronger than gravitational bond. Lump of dusts became large by adhere of the due to chemical reactions such as van der Waals forces at the contact point in a cold environment. 2. The adhering took place in stationary state near the geostationary orbit. When the lumps are gently collided in the geostationary orbit, some will leave geostationary orbit. The energy of the orbital motion of the lump increase by approaching near the host planet. When it falls on the host planet, it accelerate the rotational speed of the host planet. 3. Proto-Moon has been born and grew near the Earth's geostationary orbit. The orbit of the Moon has changed when the Sun had a nuclear fusion explosion 4.6 billion years ago. The heliocentric orbital were affected by the unstable state of the Sun. Accretion model due to short-range force at contact points. Most of materials in the Solar System were captured by the Sun. A little number of materials remained in heliocentric orbitals are described by Kepler's third law. Since m is the mass of Sun, the lumps with various in a heliocentric orbital revolute at the same speed. Some of dusts were adhered when dusts come into contact and large lump will be produced. On the other hand, some lumps change their orbit and move closer to the center of gravity, while others may move away from the center of gravity. According to the virial theorem, the gravitational potential and the kinetic energy are equal in the equilibrium. The kinetic energy of each falling clumps increases as it approaches to the gravitational center. When a clump falls, the kinetic energy of the falling material is added to the rotation motion of the host planet, and it result increase of the rotation speed of the host planet as shown in Fig.3. When a satellite is born and grows in the geostationary orbit of the central planet, the center of gravity of the satellite shifts to the central planet, and the gravitational coupling becomes anisotropic. Then, when the rotation speed of the central planet increases, the orbital speed of the satellite is accelerated by anisotropic gravitational coupling, and it moves away from the central planet due to the increase in centrifugal force. The proto-Earth and the proto-Moon existed when the proto-Sun had begun nuclear fusion. Traditional model and novel model for the formation of Solar System are shown in Fig.4. The traditional theory that the Moon and Earth were formed by giant impact is questionable. The reason is as follows. It is difficult for collided planets to maintain a circular orbit. When planets collide, they are destroyed and scattered. Planets do not merge by the collision. The structure of gathered cosmic dusts are irregular shapes with many gaps. The cluster must have been formed by chemical bonds at contact points of solids in a cold environment before the Sun began nuclear fusion. When the cluster grows, the inside becomes high temperature and pressure due to gravitational energy, and the internal structure is reorganized. Solid of meteorites were produced inside of the planet. When the gravitational center of a satellite moves closer to the host planet, an anisotropy occurs in the gravitational coupling with the host planet, and the rotation period of the satellite is synchronized with the orbital period. The proto-moon must have grown in the Earth's geostationary orbit. Although the protoplanet that have grown in equilibrium condition cannot easily changes of its heliocentric orbit. The heliocentric orbits varied by the nuclei fusion explosion at 4.6 billion years ago. At that time, the effect on the orbiting motion by the change of the Sun's mass had been a little different between the Earth and the Moon. So, it is possible to occur that the Moon moved to the Earth and gently touched to the Earth. The reason why the rotational axis of Uranus turns sideways. Uranus has orbital period of 84 Earth years, while its rotation period is very short at 17.24 hours. Inside Uranus is a thick layer of liquid water in the middle. Although the longitude distribution of temperature is small owing to the high-speed rotation, the tilt of the rotation axis causes by the north-south temperature difference, and the north-south difference occurred at inner liquid water layer. So, the center of gravity shifts in the north-south direction, and the precession occurs in the direction towards the Sun. The energy of rotational motion of precession and its gravitational potential are equal in the equilibrium state from virial theorem. The position of the center of gravity shifts towards to the Sun where the position of the center of gravity is lower. So, the rotation axis of the precession is now in the direction of the Sun. The reason why the rotational axis of Venus was reversed. The solar wind consists of hydrogen ion which has a component of rotating speed about 500 km per second due to the rotation of the Sun. The solar wind drives upper atmosphere of the Venus. The trade wind on the planet located at farther away from the Sun decreases as shown in Fig. 6. Venus's atmosphere is thick, as much as about 90 atmospheres. The atmosphere of Venus facing to the Sun is directly hit by the solar wind at near the equator. The counterclockwise direction of the solar wind drives Venus's atmosphere in the direction of clockwise rotation, and it resulted, super-rotation, that circles Venus in the direction of the clockwise rotation. As shown in Fig. 7, the counterclockwise rotational solar wind slips through left side, right side and on the night side of Venus. However, the momentum of the solar wind that collides directly is predominant and it changes the rotational motion of Venus's rotation to clockwise direction. Assuming the total amount of hydrogen ion emitted by the Sun today is 10 to the 9th power kilogram at every second, the amount reaching Venus is estimated by the ratio of the cross-sectional area of the Venus to the surface of sphere in the orbit. We get 0.782 kilograms at every seconds. The effect has accumulated over 4 billion years and rotational direction of the Venus has been reversed. Conclusions. In the early stages of formation of celestial bodies, solids of dust come into gentle contact, and chemical bonds such as intermolecular bonds at point of the contacts form clumps. Asteroids consist of many dusts accompanying with vacant spaces, and the center of gravity is shifted in the direction to the host planet. So, the rotation of the asteroid will be synchronized with its orbital motion. It is an origin of so-called a tidally lock. Even as the satellite grows and reaches the level of the planet, the rotation of the planet and the inclination of the axis of rotation change depending on the environment. In Uranus, due to its fast rotation and slow revolution, the thick layers of liquid water inside differed from north-south, causing precession, and the axis of rotation of the precession became in the direction of the Sun. On Venus, the solar wind moved the atmosphere in the direction of clockwise rotation, reversing the direction of rotation. The precession of the Earth's axis of rotation is perpendicular to the ecliptic plane, and that the Earth's precession was caused by light contact with the Moon. Thank you for your kind attention.